Books and Booze, a bookish and wine-induced podcast from two book lovers who have never met. That is the power of the internet. My name is Jade.
And I am Chiara.
What are we doing today, Chiara?
So today we are doing the New York Times book tag, which is a book tag I found on BookTube, which had some interesting, different questions that I don't think we've really answered.
Yeah.
And then we have a few listener questions at the end.
Yeah.
To wrap it all up.
And our boozy banter, which always finishes off the episodes.
It always finishes off positively, doesn't it?
It does. It's always great. So what are you drinking?
I just have water today.
Ah, okay.
I'm going on a 10-day detox.
I saw that. I was like, you traitor.
on Monday. So like me and the girls at work, we do them every so often. And then we keep each other motivated. So it's kind of good. It's through Arbonne, but it's good to like find out what triggers you and might like not necessarily agree with you. So last time I did it, I found out that I probably shouldn't have dairy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What made you realise?
As soon as I reintroduced dairy after the last cleanse, it was just horrible.
Oh, really? Just your body
stomach
didn't
pains,
like it.
everything.
Oh.
Yeah, it was like, nope. It did well without it for the 10 days.
Oh, dear. Okay. Yeah.
What are you drinking?
Well, it's 11 o'clock in the morning, but it's Friday, so I'm about to pour a glass of white wine for once, not red wine, because it is a bit too early.
I was like, that bottle looks like a white wine bottle.
Yeah, so this is Cradle Bay. It's New Zealand wine, and it's quite funny. So it's a Sauvignon Blanc, and on the back it said it's paired perfectly with Vegemite on toast. I was like, okay. And it's actually really nice. I've been like having a glass of it during the week, so now it's finished. But
that's interesting because you don't normally drink white.
No, yeah, like it's just, you know, when it's getting warmer and stuff here in Australia, like winter's going away, so I'm just like, yeah, it's quite nice to have something to cool me down after I've been out.
Have you tested it with Vegemite?
I have not. I don't actually think I have Vegemite, but I should. We're going grocery shopping tomorrow, so I should probably get some. But yeah, it's a very like crisp and zesty wine, and I've actually really enjoyed it. Do
you like Vegemite?
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of Marmite. Do you know Marmite?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's the UK equivalent, right?
See,
Is that what they have in South Africa?
Yeah.
Or they don't have anything like it? Yeah, Marmite.
Marmite, yeah. So it's, I don't know, it's got a very similar kind of bitter, burnt kind of flavour that I really actually enjoy. I like those kind of flavours. So for me, I'm like, oh yeah. And like drinking it now, I'm like, oh yeah, I can definitely see this going well with like Marmite or Vegemite. So...
Because in America, they have nothing like Vegemite at all.
Okay.
And I know like a couple of times we've had people, when we lived in America, people would come over and they'd be like, oh, let's try a Vegemite or whatever. And then they'd take like a giant scoop of it, like you would Nutella.
Yeah. And
that's just not what you do with Vegemite.
Yeah. It's like when I was in South Africa, I don't know if you would know what pup is. It's like milli meal. It's like this really thick, stodgy thing. It's like if you like pick up and throw a clump of it at someone, it will probably give them a concussion. But when I first moved to South Africa from England, I thought that it was mashed potato. So I was like, oh yum. So I piled up this massive heap of it, and it's got no flavour whatsoever. But like a lot of the poorer people in South Africa eat it because it fills you up so much. Needless to say, I didn't like it at first. I got quite a fright and I didn't understand what I was eating. But now I quite enjoy it. So
yeah, especially when you taste something expecting it to taste like something else.
Yeah, I was convinced it looks just like mashed potato. Like
okay.
Anyway.
I love mashed potato.
That started off as a rambly beginning.
All right, so shall we jump into it then?
You've got the questions, right?
Yep, I do.
Cool.
So what book is on your nightstand now?
Can you answer this one first? Because I think mine is a bit inappropriate.
Oh, okay. So I've got a few books sort of sitting in a pile near my bed at the moment. So there's Pieces of Her by Karin Slaughter, which is our next buddy read, which I'm planning on starting as soon as I finish the 2 I'm reading now.
Okay.
And then there's The Uncommon Type by Tom Hanks and Calypso by David Sedaris, which are both like really easy books to read. So if I'm tired or I don't have a lot of time, I'll pick them up and read a story or two from those.
Okay. So what is The Uncommon Type by Tom Hanks? Is that like short story collections?
I haven't started it yet, but in my mind, I'm convinced it's short stories.
Okay.
It could be a novel for all I know. I probably should have looked that up. I think it is short stories.
Because I love Tom Hanks from, what's that movie, You've Got Mail? He's, all those years ago. So
Sleepless in Seattle.
Yeah, I've always just loved him in all those kind of movies. So the fact that he wrote a book, I was like, oh God, I can't actually wait to read this. So I've got to get a copy.
Apparently he's a really good writer, so I'm excited to get into that when I have a little bit more free reading time rather than podcast reading time, which is also enjoyable, but like your other books kind of fall by the wayside, don't they?
They do. I've been struggling lately. So on my nightstand, I don't have it on me at the moment because it's on my nightstand. So I can't remember who the author is, but it's a book on tantric sex. Mark bought it online, and we just decided that that's what we would read together at night.
Fair enough.
So yes, not the most appropriate, and I am very sorry to my family if they're listening to this. But all I do have to say about this book is that, so he ordered it. I was expecting us to get something that was like really thick and juicy and full of cool things, and this book is more like, you can tell it's super cheap. It doesn't have an actual publisher, and on the front it says with illustrations, and there's only one page of illustrations in the book, and it's like these funny little like cartoons. So it's not great, to be honest.
So you've got to use a lot of imagination then.
Yes, we're gonna have some fun with it. All right, moving on.
All right, what was the last truly great book you read?
Okay, so I think I've spoken about all the great books I've read on our most recent episodes. So for this one, I'm going to say one that I just started reading this morning on Audible, and it's Give Me Your Hand by Megan Abbott. So this is a book about a girl called Kit, who's she's kind of like a run-of-the-mill kind of girl. She's got no big ambitions in life until she meets this girl called Diana in her chemistry class, and they become really fast friends and have like a really tight bond. But then Diane, she starts talking, or she tells her about this really dark secret, and it changes their entire friendship. So after that, like a decade later, Kit is doing really, really well in life, thanks to inspiration by Diane, even though the two do not communicate at all anymore. But then as she realizes that she's about to get this huge job opportunity, her competition is Diane, and they've got to see each other again, and it could be really dangerous. And so far, just from what I've read this morning, it hooked me right away, and I like the then and now format, so it's like kind of switching between when they were friends to now when they're competing against each other for this job, and there's like that strong female friendship. It's my first Abbott book, so yeah, I mean, I've heard it's not her best, but I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
So for me, it was definitely one that you've recommended. So it was You by Caroline Kepnes.
Yay.
And I loved it. 5 giant goblets of wine from me.
Woohoo.
And I thought now would be a good time to announce that we have some exciting mini-sodes that we're going to do around the TV adaptation.
Yes, we do.
So we're just going to talk about what we liked and what we don't like, and we'll talk about the books and how we feel the characters and the actors have, melded together. So we're really looking forward to recording that.
It's going to be a little bit tougher for me because I read the book, I don't know, about 2 years ago or something. So I might need to just relook at my my review of it or something. But yeah, I am looking forward to the show so much. And obviously I remember the main characters like Joe Goldberg.
Yeah.
So,
Beck and Peach.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see.
Peach, I just remember being really annoying.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure about how I feel about Shay Mitchell playing the role. I feel like she got it just because she was a lesbian in Pretty Little Liars.
Yeah, maybe. She was probably my least favorite character on Pretty Little Liars.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I don't know how I will like her. I don't know if she was my least character because I don't like her as an actress, or if she was my least favorite character because she was a bit of an annoying character. I don't know. I was partial to Arya and Spencer, so.
Oh, really? I hated Spencer. So can you imagine how gutted I was when I found out that she's married the guy from Suits? I was like,
oh, yeah.
What? And then she came on to Suits and I was like, stop praising the show.
Well, he was actually on like one of the first episodes of Pretty Little Liars.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh.
He plays there's an episode where Arya goes to like a pub kind of thing with Ezra, and he's Ezra's friend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. It's been so long since I've seen that show too, so
yeah.
Yeah, that's...
I know, he pops up in a lot of things. He's also in an episode of Orphan Black.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I like him.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. I was heartbroken when I heard he married Spencer because she annoyed the hell out of me. But yeah, Arya's my favourite.
Yeah, I love Arya.
Yeah, she's really cool. And Ezra.
Yeah, he's gorgeous. He's written a book.
Has he?
Yeah, Ian Harding.
What is it?
It's called... Oh, I sent it to my sister because I was like, what? He's written a book? What is it called?
If it's a thriller, I am so ordering it.
No, I think it's autobiographical.
Oh. I mean, I don't know. I like some autobiographies, but...
I'll have to find what it's called. It's like... Yeah, but it popped up. Someone had read it or was reading it on Goodreads.
Okay.
And I got very excited because I do very much enjoy him.
Oh, yeah, he's just pretty to look at. Oh, right. I think, what was the next question? You answered yours, right?
Yep.
So
if you could meet any writer, dead or alive, who would it be and what would you want to know?
I've decided, because I had a really tough time answering this, I've met a fair few authors.
Yeah.
And some, I don't know, like, I would love to meet, like, Jane Austen and stuff like that, but I just don't know if I'd have as much fun with her. I don't know. So I've decided for this one to go with AJ Finn, because he's modern, he's in today's world, he wrote a book that I loved, The Woman in the Window. Plus, I might actually get to meet him next week at the Brisbane Writers' Festival. So,
oh, that's exciting.
Yes, I have sent him a fangirl message on Instagram, but he has not yet responded.
Has he seen it and just left it on scene and like...
No, it doesn't look like he's even seen it, so I don't really know. Maybe I should try and contact his like publicist or something.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, because I would love to meet him, because I gave his book like 5 goblets of wine. I thought it was absolutely excellent, considering that I thought that it was going to be, like, you know, a knockoff of The Girl on the Train.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I said, and it's probably a no-brainer, but I'd probably just like to meet Karin Slaughter because I love her stories and I'd love a conversation with her to see, like, where her ideas have come from, because they're very dark.
Yes.
Like, all her stories are very dark and twisted, and she's got so many skills in writing these women that are so complex, and they're like mini villains in the story. So there's Lena in the Grant County series. Have you met, because you're reading Blindsided, aren't you?
Yes.
Is Lena in the first one? She's one of the cops with Jeffrey.
I don't know. I think, is there someone called Sarah?
Is Sarah her sister?
I think so.
Or Sarah's the main character?
I think so, in the first book. Yeah. So like I've been kind of putting it on the back burner, so I'm just trying to remember the character right now.
Yeah.
No, I don't know if I've met Lena yet.
So there's Lena, you'll know her when you meet her.
Okay.
And then there's Angie in the Will Trent series, and I'd love to know where they came from.
Yeah, it's so interesting to see where authors have their inspiration.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, did you see a picture of Karin Slaughter yet? I mean, she's quite a small, like, delicate looking woman, like, and to just know that all this like scary horror stuff comes out of her is quite phenomenal.
Yeah, she's not kind of what you picture.
Definitely
And
not.
and for some reason, I thought that she might like not even be American or English or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
For some reason, when I first was reading her books, I thought she was German.
Okay.
But no, she's American.
Yeah, I'm excited.
She's got a
to try
good
the
last
next
name too for writing what she writes.
I know. I'm like, gosh, I wish I had a name like that if I was gonna write such horrific stuff. What's the next question?
What books might we be surprised to find on your shelves other than tantric sex books?
Well, I think a lot of people would be surprised to know that I have a lot of women's fiction.
Okay.
A lot of it, and a lot of it's I've just been sent from the publishers,
Yeah.
and I don't know when I'm ever going to get around to reading them, because like when I first approached the publishers and said, look, like I've got this Instagram called boho_bookworm. I review books, I drink coffee, and I ramble on about books. They were like, okay, what genres do you like? And I said, look, like predominantly thriller, but I do enjoy some chick lit, women's fiction, travel, blah blah blah. And I think they kind of jumped onto the whole like chick lit side of things. So I've got a whole shelf of girly books, and I just don't know when I'm ever going to actually read them. Because like, yeah, I want to eventually, but I've just been on such a thriller, horror, psychological kick at the moment that I can't.
You can't, yeah.
Yeah, I can't
break out of it.
It's just not what I enjoy, and I feel it would be too unfair on the book if I go into it when I'm not in the mood.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely have to be in the mood for romance and stuff like that.
What about you?
Mine's a similar answer to yours. So, Nora Roberts. It's a Nora Roberts series, The Gallicas of Ardmore.
Okay.
And it's a very romantic-based series.
Ooh.
But this one, I stumbled upon when I was in Italy one summer, and I didn't have a lot of book options. And my mum had left this stack of books that she was going to leave for a family friend who was an Australian woman, and she'd married an Italian. So obviously, like, she didn't have access to a lot of books. And so I was going through and looking at all the books, and so I picked that one up. And so for now, like now it's really nostalgic for me because I like remember being in Italy and reading it, and I remember saying to my mum, "Oh, I picked up one of the books that you left," and she's like, "Oh, okay, which one?" And I was like, "Oh, this Nora Roberts one." She's like, okay, and in hindsight, I think I was about 11 and I probably shouldn't have been reading it.
Was there a few sexual...
Nora Roberts, yeah, she's doesn't shy away from that sort of stuff, but
Ooh la la.
I didn't have any options, and I'm a big bookworm at heart, so I needed something to read, and I picked it up, and I'm sure a lot of it went over my head.
I'm sure it taught you a fair thing or two.
But they're set in Ireland, and I love books set in Ireland.
Me too.
Because it's just somewhere I really want to go, and it revolves around 3 siblings. So each book is a different sibling, and they run a family pub in a seaside village in Ireland. And it's a good series.
Okay.
But that's probably one people would be like, oh, Nora Roberts, okay.
Okay. Yeah, I was quite surprised when I heard that Nora Roberts has a whole thriller collection out now.
Yeah. Under her pseudonym, I think it's J.D. Robb. My mum loves those books.
Oh, yeah? So I've got a Nora Roberts book. I actually just lent it to my partner's mum, so I don't have it here. I think it's called Shelter in Place or something like that. So it's under her real name.
Okay.
And yeah, apparently it's a thriller about some kind of like mass murder or something. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Well, she's written a lot.
Yeah,
like she's probably
just
up there
churns
with
them out.
Stephen King. How many books they've written?
Yeah,
yeah.
That's like Karin Slaughter too. I don't know how they've got the time to just keep like knocking them out.
I know, and Karin Slaughter's and Stephen King's are obviously usually very big, in-depth books.
Yeah.
I'm impressed by their...
Like, one thing I do like about Karin Slaughter's writing a lot, so, like, as you know, I haven't really found a Karin Slaughter book that I'm, like, very partial to yet.
Yeah.
But I do love her description. I love her writing.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think that they're just so beautifully done, and they're chunky books. So to keep just knocking them out, like, you know, it's just like one after the other, bang, bang, bang.
Yeah. And they usually do very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the next question, I think, was what, like, how do we arrange our bookshelves? Something?
Yeah. I think you and I have the same problem where we have very teeny tiny little bookshelves.
Yes, you can probably see mine behind me.
Yeah.
It's buckling under the weight of my books.
Yeah,
And
mine is probably around that size as well.
yeah, I've Mark says that
So
I can
shove
get
everything
one.
in.
So I just need to go on to like another one. So I just need to go on to like Gumtree and find a new bookshelf for myself, because the rest of my books are just scattered all over the place and getting tripped over.
Yeah. I was thinking about getting one of those TBR carts. Have you seen those?
No.
So they're all over Bookstagram, and they're these IKEA carts, which I actually have one in my son's room where I have all his books in.
Okay.
But all these people on Bookstagram are getting them for themselves, and they're putting all their TBR books in this cart, and then they wheel it wherever they are, so that whenever like the inspiration hits you to start a new book or whatever, it's there.
That's amazing.
They're really nice. I'll put up some pictures.
Yeah, definitely. Please do.
I think they're a really good idea, and they're not too expensive. And Kmart actually has some similar ones. They're like half the price of the IKEA ones. I don't know about quality, but it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because you can kind of move it from room to room and get it out of the way when, you know.
Awesome. I'd love
You
to
need
see.
to. Yeah. And some people organise them so beautifully. You know how some people organise their shelves? I'm like, oh my goodness. They have like all the figurines and all the colours.
Those, like, you know, those floor to ceiling bookshelves, like white, beautiful, stunning shelves, just like colour coded, beautifully done. I'm
like
just
the rainbow ones.
Oh, it just
Yeah.
gives me eyegasms. Book bonus.
The only ones book bonus. The only ones I don't like really like is when people turn them around. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I'm like, what? Like, I think it kind of looks cool, but then how
It
the
looks
hell do
really
you know?
pretty, but how do you know what you're going to read? And
Yeah, the reason.
I like seeing the spines.
Yeah.
Of the nice book.
Like, Mark doesn't understand a lot, or like a lot of people, I guess, don't really understand why I keep all my books after I've read them.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, well, are you going to read them again? And I'm like, well, probably not, but that's not the point. But I like having my bookshelf as like a shrine.
Yeah.
As, okay, like I can get home and be like, I've read all you guys, and I spend time with them. Like, it sounds really weird, but I'll talk to them.
Sometimes you get
love
very
them.
attached to characters, yes.
Yeah, like, it sounds like really weird, but especially as well with my booktube channel, I often like pick up old books and talk about them on camera again, and I just love having them around, and I feel proud of myself and accomplished when I can see all the books that I've read.
When you go to someone's house, is that the first thing you gravitate towards, the bookshelf?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
That and plants.
And you have a sticky beak.
Yep.
And plants.
Yep.
I kill all my plants.
Yeah, so do I. That's why I go to other people's house just so I can perv over their plants, and then I get home, I'm like, oh, okay, my house is pretty bad, but if I had a plant, they would die.
I have a peace lily that my sister-in-law got me, and it is miraculously still alive. I think I've had it for like 2 and a bit years, and it is impossible to kill.
That's good.
Like, it has been on the brink, and it comes back to life. And it still flowers, and I am forever in awe that I haven't killed it yet. So peace lilies are very resilient little plants.
I might try that, because the rest of my plants are just like, fuck you, Jade. We're moving on. Going to another life.
This relationship's not working.
No. Mark says I overlove my plants because I water them too much.
Yeah, I overwater. I think that's a big problem.
So then I don't water them, and then they die anyway. And I'm like, well, I can't bloody win.
Yeah, try a peace lily.
Okay, that's going to happen. Mark, buy me a peace lily if you're listening to this. He listens to it on his way to work sometimes.
Yeah, Mitch listens to it as well. He was really sweet. He called after he listened to the Chris Hammer interview. He was like, "It was so good. It made me want to read Scrubland. You did such a good job for your first author interview." He's like, I think you guys were a little bit nervous, but then it kind of eased into a nice report.
Yeah. So I wanted to actually save this for later, but since we're talking about Scrublands now, I've got a Canadian listener of the podcast who sent me a voice note about what she thought of the episode and something that actually really annoyed her. And she said I could play it on the podcast.
Okay.
Can I play it?
Yeah.
Awesome. So let me just make sure it doesn't like deafen everyone if it's too loud.
Okay,
Can you hear it?
I need to tell you with words. I can't actually type because it's going to be too much. So I'm listening to your interview podcast with the guy who wrote Scrublands. Oh, here it is, Chris Hammer. And I'm getting really frustrated with the fact that the American publishers are changing Australian words. Like, they're changing the word boot to trunk. And he said something about changing a cricket analogy to a baseball analogy. Like, the book still takes place in Australia, does it not? Australians don't say trunk of the car. They say the boot of the car. Ow, I just hit my dishwasher. I'm getting too passionate about this. Anyway, it's just really frustrating me that American publishers do that. Like, because I don't think other publishers do that when American books get published. I'm pretty sure they keep everything the same. And, like, for example, I've read so many YA contemporary books that take place in American high schools, and there's so much that I don't understand. There was even once when I was voxing my friend Amber, who lives in the States, saying how frustrated I was because this thing that was happening is not a thing that exists, and why would that even be a thing? And she was like, that's a thing, and it has a name, and it's an American thing. And so it just is, I think, stupid that they would want to change the Australianness of a book that takes place in Australia. Like, why would they say words that are not Australian when they're Australian and they live in Australia? Anyway, that's all.
Yeah, I thought that was really sweet of her and how passionate she got.
I think, though, Chris said that they didn't change the cricket to baseball.
Oh, right.
He said in the past they might have. They did change boot, trunk, and stuff like that. But I think he did say, to their credit, that they didn't change a whole lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was from Natalie. She's under she's actually written a book of her own, which I absolutely loved. Let me just find her details for you. It's Natalie Cuddington, I believe. So
I like that last name, Cuddington.
yeah, she's Canadian, and let me just.
I love Canadians.
Yeah, her accent's just lovely. And on YouTube, she's called Pickle Hearts Books. She's now just released her second book, which I haven't read yet, but I loved her first book, which was called Chloe Diller. I actually, like, one of the few books that completely made me bawl my absolute eyes out. I half died listening to this book, but it was so good, so beautifully done. And yeah, I'm really excited to read her second book. So I just wanted to give her a shout out. And she had a lot to say about the Scrubland stuff. So
I like it, though. I like that she's so passionate.
Yes.
And we did discuss that. Like, it is quite frustrating that occasionally American publishers do want to change it so much that it isn't true to itself.
It's not
in a
fair.
way.
It's not authentic.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they won't change it for us.
No. So like with regards to the actual question, I've got a bit of OCD, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So I would
with
love,
organizing your bookshelf.
Yeah. So like, say with my like DVD collection, I know that's like kind of old school these days, but I used to have a lot of DVDs.
Yeah,
and
me too.
I would I can't say this word. Alphabeticalize them.
Alphabetize.
What? Oh gosh, I've only had one glass of wine. Jesus. That one. I normally do that. I'm not even going to attempt to say it. But with my books, I tend to like color code and put them into genre. And I haven't really been able to do that here because at the moment, I've just got them in shelves of what I have read and what I haven't read.
Yeah.
When I get another bookshelf, I'll probably separate them and give them new homes.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got a whole bunch of DVDs that are taking up room on my bookshelf. And it's like that inner battle where I'm like, oh, but I might need them. And then I'm like, I never touch them.
Yeah, like you're never
So I'm
actually going to
thinking-
watch them again, but...
I think they might need to be boxed up and put away.
No. The world's just
Okay.
getting too technological.
What book have you always meant to read and haven't got around to yet? Anything you feel embarrassed you've not read?
I wouldn't say I'm embarrassed by anything I
Yeah.
haven't read because,
Yeah.
you know, hopefully before I die, the world will figure out a way to make us all live forever, and then I can read all the books in the world.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Which, I mean, you can't possibly do. You can't read every single book
Yeah.
that's ever been published.
Exactly.
And I think the important thing is that you do read.
Yes, that's the only thing that really matters. But a book that I haven't read yet that I really want to is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte.
Okay.
Have you read it?
No.
Okay.
It's on my shelf, but I have not read it. Because it's one of those ones that you look at and you're like, I should read it. I've seen the movie.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Okay. I started watching, I think, the TV show a couple of years ago. And I actually really enjoyed it. But then I was like, no, stop, because I want to read the book first.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as far as I know, I mean, it's supposed to be a romance, but it's quite dark and gloomy. And I think there might
It
be
is,
a bit of a thrillery vibe in it.
Yeah. I would say maybe gothic.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's about this orphan and kind of like outcast called Jane, and she's hired by Edward Rochester at the Thornfield Hall, and she just works for him, and she falls deeply in love, but there's some sort of a terrifying secret behind the walls of Thornfield Hall, and I want to know what that secret is. So yeah, one day I will read it.
So, at 6 minutes for me actually helped me answer this one.
Mm-hmm.
East of Eden by John Steinbeck. Have you read that?
I've not read any Steinbeck.
Oh, I've read a little bit of Steinbeck because I went to high school in America, and obviously he's one of the great American authors.
Yeah.
And I've seen it recommended so many times, and I really need to pick it up. I also need to pick up Pride and Prejudice, I think. And like then there's also books like The Handmaidens Tale. And...
I read that.
Did you like it? That's a no.
No. I've heard the Netflix show is great, and the reason I wanted
The
to
Netflix
read
show
it...
is really good. Oh, I don't think it's Netflix actually.
Is it
There's
Netflix?
one on Netflix, but it's not Handmaidens Tale. It's I can't remember. It's a different Margret Atwood book.
I'm not 100% sure.
The one on Netflix is Alias Grace.
Alias Grace. Okay, I haven't read that one
Yeah.
either. So, I mean, because it's Margaret Atwood, I guess I didn't want to be too bad on my rating with it, so I gave it a 3 goblets of wine, which, I mean, to be honest, if I didn't pull up my review of it right now, I can't really say too much about it. Oh, I think it was done by Hulu or something, but
Yeah.
I just there's just something about it. So I didn't realize, because it's a classic, I didn't realize that it would be dystopian, which I guess was my first shock with it, and that's completely my fault for not reading the back and realizing that, I guess. I was very late to the party with reading it, and I just the dystopian element just kind of threw me off. I really like the idea of a protagonist writing a letter to someone that she didn't know. It was really beautiful, but harrowing. And I don't know, so the writing was stunning, but I found, it's really hard to say. I guess I'll just focus on the positives, because I listened to it on Audible, which maybe changed my idea of it. So... the whole book is about the idea of a woman who is valued solely on her reproductive abilities, and that's haunting, and it's got such a good plot. I just wish that it wasn't dystopian. I don't connect well with dystopian books, so it's purely personal, and I just didn't enjoy that.
Yeah.
Let's just leave it at that.
Well, this could that could lead into the next question,
Oh.
which is disappointing, overrated, just not good. What book did you feel that you were supposed to like but didn't? Do you remember the last book you put down without finishing?
What did you say?
So there's probably two that work for both parts. I've mentioned both these books kind of in passing, but I've officially DNF'd both of them now, because I have so much that I need to read for the podcast and I want to read for myself, that if I'm not enjoying a book, then I'm just not going to push myself. So both books were really well liked by people and by two authors that I've read before and enjoyed books by. So the first one was The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna.
Mm-hmm.
I DNF'd that book at about 40%, and that's about a young family and their move to Alaska, and I was just really bored by it. I wonder if it's similar to The Marsh King's Daughter, where there's a lot of descriptive stuff about living off the land, and
Yeah.
it might not just appeal to me. Yeah.
Yeah, because I've heard like either fantastic things about Kristen Hanna's book, or like they just hated it.
Yeah. I think I'm in the latter category where I like it. I don't like to say hate, but it didn't work for me. And the other one was The Death of Mrs. Westaway by Ruth Ware. And I put that down at about halfway through.
Okay.
Haven't picked it back up. Don't want to. Don't want to know where it's going. Don't like any of the characters. It's about a story about a girl who works as a psychic on a pier, and she gets a letter about an inheritance, and she doesn't believe she's related to this person, and they were both very meh to me. But you look like you have something to say about The Death of Mrs. Westaway.
Well, I haven't read that one, but I just want to say that this is not a complete pick at Ruth Ware, but I chose a Ruth Ware book too.
Oh, poor Ruth. Oh dear.
Sorry, Ruth.
Can I guess?
Yes.
Is it The Lying Game?
No, so yeah, I
okay.
hated that one too. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I didn't like that one. I also DNF'd that one. I was listening to that on audiobook and I don't know. I don't like any of the characters.
Yeah.
And normally I'm okay with not liking characters. Like, like maybe Good Me, Bad Me. There's a sister in that.
Yeah.
And I didn't like her, but she was interesting enough that you like her. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I definitely
These ones
agree.
were just, I don't know.
Yeah, so the book I chose is The Woman in Cabin 10. So, I did finish The Lying Game, but I had a big rant about that book as well. But I chose The Woman in Cabin 10 because I feel it got a lot more hype than The Lying Game. I don't know if you agree, but...
No, The Lying Game was a Reese Witherspoon pick, I think.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think so, maybe.
I didn't really know about the whole Reese Witherspoon book club thing until quite recently, I think after I met you. So I'm very new to that. But so The Woman in Cabin 10, I think I gave it like 2 goblets of wine, which I think is quite nice. The book's about like a traumatic event that takes place in this chick's home. She's a travel journalist called Laura, and she jumps at the chance to get away. She boards like a luxury cruise, and she's got this really exciting assignment that means wonders for her career, and it's all going really well until Laura hears something that she believes is a body being thrown overboard from the cabin next to hers. She raises the alarm, but no one will believe her, and the details from her past, depression, anxiety, and of excessive drinking all spill out. It was my second Ruth Ware book, and I must admit that I am really underwhelmed by her. The Lying Game was terrible. The Woman in Cabin 10 was a big letdown. I just didn't like him. They're so slow-paced. And the main character, like, she was just blood boiling. She was so irritating. And, normally I quite like unreliable narrators, but her drinking problem was just so defined that you're just like, just stop drinking, please. Yeah. You know when it's just a little bit too much. Furthermore, I just thought that it was a complete carbon copy of The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins, whereas like The Woman in the Window by AJ Finn, it had that kind of the bones of it, but it became its own and it had so many amazing things to it. So it was just a very anticlimactic book, and I am not going to continue because I feel really bad.
I know, we just hammered her. I will say though, I did like In a Dark Dark Wood by
I
her.
have not read that. Maybe I should try it.
Yeah, I did like that one. I think I read that one in maybe 2 days, and it was quite a quick, good one, and the characters were quite interesting in that one. But I think all her stories kind of follow a similar
Yeah.
path. It's like people having something happen and then going away on like a trip or something.
See, because I kind of thought, you know, like how the Karin Slaughter books with pieces of her, right? Like I've heard that that's so different and that this would be the book that I would finally enjoy. And with Ruth Ware, I thought that the death of Mrs. Westaway.
Because everyone says it's like Agatha Christie, which...
I thought it would be so different. And now to hear you say that you didn't really enjoy it, I'm like, okay.
I mean... Feel free to read it and then tell me what you think, but
yeah.
I don't know. It didn't work for me.
Okay.
So, what kind of stories are you drawn to, and any that you steer clear of?
I am very drawn to domestic psychological thrillers.
Mm-hmm.
I love stories with big twists that mess with my head and keep me guessing. And books that I steer clear of are definitely more so, like I said, dystopian, sci-fi, fantasy. You probably won't see me picking up one of those. Mm-hmm. What about you?
I think we've answered very similarly.
Okay.
So obviously thrillers and crime fiction are my jam. Nowadays I don't read a lot of YA or romance because I don't find a lot that I enjoy. But I mean, if anyone wants to recommend me something, I'm open. I'm open to trying. But there was a whole phase where YA was really big, and there was a lot like John Green and stuff like that.
Yeah, I just feel like we need another YA author to come out and just shock us with something different.
Like the Hunger Games and stuff like that?
Well, I don't know. So, like, maybe... This is maybe just a bit biased, but so maybe... What's her name? Is it Stephanie Perkins that wrote A Noise Downstairs? That's like a YA thriller, kind of like a slasher book. So I quite like when YA kind of delves into a lighter thriller.
Yep.
I
haven't heard of that one.
Let me just see. I actually thought it was pretty alright. Let me just see if I can find the title quickly. A Noise... my laptop's just decided to have a spouse session with me. I need to get a new laptop, man. A Noise Downstairs is bloody Linwood Barclay.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, isn't that the Linwood Barclay one? Which I didn't realise that author was had written so many books.
Like, I feel like people are going to be like shouting at me now.
Shouting at the... Yeah, I know.
Stranger
when we're going,
Downstairs.
what's the name of the Netflix show? They're yelling at their cars. I do that all the time. It's this one. It's this one.
Oh, yeah. There's someone inside your house. Sorry. But, like, the book cover is, like, luminescent pink. And it's got a staircase. That sounds like A Noise Downstairs. Okay. So, okay. As much as I say this, so she's a YA author, and I actually thought that this book was a bit ridiculous. I only gave it a 2 goblets of wine. I do like the fact that Stephanie Perkins, who wrote books...
Lola and the Boy Next Door.
Yeah, and like Eyre and
that's that author.
The Happily Ever After and Anna and the French Kiss.
Someone in the French Kiss. That's right, Anna. Which I had read those a couple of years ago, and I thought they were okay, but I think I only read the first 2 and then got a bit bored. It was the same kind of nerdy girl, nerdy boy, fall in love.
But what I am liking about it, though, is that these authors that, as you're growing up as maybe someone a bit younger than us, who would be reading those books like Eyre and Anna and whatever, like, I think as you grow, you get more drawn towards a bit more thriller, especially in the airport. Like, you know, it's called an airport thriller and stuff. Like, so I feel like maybe these authors are branching out to hopefully keep their reading group that follow them alive.
They're growing with their readers.
Yeah,
Well,
they're
you can almost say
expanding.
that J.K. Rowling has done that with Corman Strike.
Yes.
I don't know how to say his name. Corman Strike? But because she's gone from, obviously, Harry Potter, which is huge, and so many people read that, and then she's moved into the crime fiction kind of thriller, mystery, Agatha Christie kind of books.
Yeah, I just think it's a really good idea for them because it also keeps your readers that once loved you interested once they get to that age when they're like, these books aren't for me anymore. They're like trashy love stories and So,
and you do find yourself quite loyal to certain authors, don't you?
Yeah, and I think it really disappoints people when they're like, oh God, like, I've just grown out of this author.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Stephanie Perkins, I haven't read any of her other books because it's not my cup of tea, but I think for what it's worth, it's a great starting thriller for a younger audience. I found it like a really strange mix of predictable yet unpredictable. It was so weird it's hard to explain this book, but it's your typical slasher book, and it was fun. But I'm a really harsh reviewer, and I don't think the book was groundbreaking, but I think that I like what she's doing with wanting to keep her readers entertained and just keep them alive.
Okay. If you could require the president to read one book, what would it be?
You choose first.
Well, I'm going to keep my political opinions to myself, but I have heard that the current US president doesn't really read at all.
Can he read?
I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to touch it with a 10-foot pole. But I think a good book for the current US president would be How to Win Friends and Influence People.
I think Mark read that and he actually really enjoyed it.
I think he could learn a thing or two about friendships and influence and the power of influence.
I don't think anyone would want to be his friend.
Well.
Sorry. I'm far more outspoken than you when it comes to politics.
I just don't want to even. Like I said, I don't want to touch him with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah. Next thing you know, house in Brisbane has been bombed.
Yeah, I think he could do with a little kindness, maybe, and empathy, and yeah. What do you think the president should read?
I don't think he deserves kindness. Like I said, a bit more outspoken than you, but I had no idea. I was like trying to find a book that I thought would be suitable, like How Not to Be a Dick. And then I decided to go onto My Favorite Murders book club group on Facebook, and my post actually got deleted because of the politicalness of it.
Oh, did it? I saw that it posted because I got a notification.
Yeah.
It's like
so before it got deleted from the group, which I completely understand. I don't want to upset anyone, but
you don't want to incite a riot.
Yeah. But a couple of lovely people answered. I won't mention names, but some of them were like, "Can he even read?" What else did they say? Oh, did you read any of them? They were so funny.
No, I didn't see them.
1984, although that might fuel some inspiration.
Animal Farm.
Yeah. I can't remember. I just think he just needs to learn how to read first, I guess. I think this is quite a controversial topic.
Maybe he could stick with Dr. Seuss.
Oh, The Places You'll Go.
Oh, The Places You'll Go.
Love that one.
The Lorax.
Next question. Let's
yes.
Sorry.
This is our last question.
Shrunk.
What do you plan to read next?
I think the answer for this one would potentially be Pieces of Her by Karin Slaughter, which I'll be reading with you.
Yep.
It's Buddy Reads book.
Yep, that is our next Buddy Reads book. So everyone pick up a copy and read with us. We'll put up a post where people can discuss. We'll do a podcast talking about it. And then other than that, in my immediate future, as soon as I get JT Ellison's Tear Me Apart, I am going to stop everything and read that.
I can't believe you actually scored us copies of that.
I'm impressed by my tenacity. And then Hard Bodies by Carolyn Kepnes, which I am dying. It hasn't arrived yet, and I'm devastated.
I just hope you're not let down by the sequel.
I've seen a lot of people have enjoyed it,
Mhm.
so I'm looking forward to it. I am really, I want more of Joe. I do.
Yeah.
I think he's really fascinating.
He is.
He's crazy, but very fascinating. And I want to, like you said, that it's a bit more about his life before.
Well, it's more of like, so it's his life now and just his day-to-dayness, you know?
Mhm.
Let me see if I can find something that wouldn't be spoiler-free that I said.
Can he break the habit? And the other book that I have ordered another book, The Bat by Joe Nesbo, which is the first book in the Harry Hole series,
Oh, yeah?
which I have not ever read. Have you read the Harry Hole series?
I read The Snowman.
The Snowman.
So
I think you've mentioned that before, actually, yeah.
yeah, so you don't actually need to read them in order, which is nice. Although I've heard that they do, they'll talk about characters that are mentioned in previous books, but they do it in a way that's very subtle, so you wouldn't not understand what was going on. I must say I wasn't the biggest fan of Joe Nesbo's The Snowman, but I am excited to actually give the series a read from the beginning.
Yeah. Well, I because my sister-in-law is a huge Joe Nesbo fan, and she said my brother-in-law is actually reading the series right now, and he said start at the beginning.
Yeah.
So I think The Bat is the first one. But I'm excited to kind of get into the Nordic noir world because so many people rate it, and I just haven't tried it yet.
Yeah, no, it's so good. I love Nordic noir. I just think it's very artistic in a way. But with getting back to Hidden Bodies, so I scored it. I think I told you before. I've scored it 5 out of 5 goblets of wine.
Yeah,
Loved it. It is different from you, but it's also it's very clever and funny and sarcastic and dry all in one, and you just carry on like so. You know how frustrated Joe was in the last book. It continues with his frustration, and it's hilarious that the situations he ends up in are comical but believable. And throughout the book, Hidden Bodies, he just rants and he raves about his life and what's happening with him, and it's just so crazy and enjoyable, and I loved it. I hope it's not the last one. I want more.
I was wondering because obviously I don't know how it ends, so I mean
he's just such an addictive character.
He is. He's very, very interesting. I really cannot wait to see how Penn goes with the role. I think he'll be quite good.
So I mean, I listened to it on audio, which I loved. It's narrated by a guy called Santino Fontana, and he did such an amazing job at it. The book itself, it's still Caroline Kepnes, and it was still Joe, but it had like a refreshing aspect. Like it had something different that I can't really explain. It isn't like you at all. And you can't really compare the two, but if you've read You and you liked it, I would say you've got to give it a try because it won me over big time. I loved how like the element of obsession and craziness is still there, and you just get more into his life, and that's great.
Have you read Providence?
Not yet. It's on my shelf, and I need to.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick that one up soon.
I think I'm shying away from it because of the more dystopian element, which is I'm a little bit disappointed about the fact that it's taken that turn, but it's still thriller, and I did enjoy things like Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, which is an amazing sci-fi thriller. So hopefully Providence will be good. But I think one of the girls from Books in the Freezer, another bookish podcast about horror books, they mentioned, one of them mentioned that they weren't the biggest fan of it. So I'm like, oh. Okay. So I love her writing and I love her, so I'm just nervous.
Well, You is a very addictive style of writing.
Yeah, you can't stop. Well, that's is that the
that was the last question. So I hope everyone enjoyed that. I thought they were different.
Yeah, very
different
cool.
kind of questions.
Yeah, it's
a little thought provoking.
It's nice taking like the booktube questions and answering them on a podcast for
Yeah.
once. I don't think that's been done before.
And I'm pretty sure this is what so it's the New York Times book tag, and I think the New York Times they ask authors and stuff like that these questions in their paper.
I'd love to
So I
know
think
what
that's
people
where it's
say
come
about Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Or Obama.
I'm zipping my mouth.
before. Obama before Donald Trump, like what people would have recommended he read, because I think he was quite well read. Obama.
Yeah.
And he's obviously written. I know he's written at least one book.
Did he write it really, or was he having a
I think it was
ghostwriter?
before he was president.
Okay.
And then, like, Bill Clinton has published a book with, what's it, Patterson, James Patterson? Is that his name?
Yeah, I've seen that one
Yeah.
something about a president, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a thriller as well, isn't it?
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah, definitely. I'd actually be interested to read that. But yeah, politics. I'm all one for like going, oh fuck them, but I don't actually know what the hell's going on in today's world, so I should probably just keep my mouth shut.
Well, let's not even speak about Australian politics at the moment, because that's probably just as bad.
Really? Like I don't listen to the news. I just keep away.
Well, you know we have a new Prime Minister, right?
No idea.
Oh, okay. There was a big...
Was there a affair or something going on?
Oh, I think there's always an affair in politics.
Oh.
But no,
I thought these guys
Malcolm
just
turned...
keep it in their pants.
And the women too, probably.
Mm.
But yeah, so even our politics is just as bad, so we can't really... We're not one to talk, are we?
No. Boozy banter?
Boozy banter. Let's move on to happy stuff.
Yes.
I've got a lot this week.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay, you start, because I don't have as much.
Do you want me to start with podcasts, TV, or books?
Do podcast. I think I know what you're going to say.
Okay, so there's two podcasts, there's a few podcasts that I always listen to, but there's one that Mitch and I started the other day. So that's the Australians' production of The Teacher's Pet.
Mm-hmm.
The Australian is obviously the big Australian newspaper. This one is fantastically produced, and Mitch and I were hooked as soon as we started listening to it. Holy heck, it's so good. So it's about a star football player, his schoolgirl lover, and a wife who vanishes. Chris and Lynn appear to have the perfect marriage, but when Lynn goes missing, dark secrets are buried. This is no fairy tale, but a sordid story of a strangely close twin brothers, teenage student lovers, and probable murder.
Okay. Yeah.
It's really good.
The girls from My Favorite Murder actually recommended it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think, what's her name? I think it's Karin?
Karen.
Karen. She recommended it and said that she's hooked. So I listened to the first episode and I absolutely loved it. So I need to download more.
Yeah. Did you listen to it this week? Because that would be weird.
No, I think I listened to it about a week or two ago.
Okay.
Because at first it wasn't on where I listen to podcasts is Podcast Republic.
Oh, okay. I listen on Overcast.
I haven't even heard of that one. Are we on Overcast?
Yeah, we are.
Woohoo!
That's
How are we there? I didn't even organise that.
I think it just automatically goes there.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So I listen on public. I can't say this word today. Public Podcast Republic. God, what's wrong with me? And at first, Teacher's Pet wasn't on there, but now it is. So I'm catching up.
It's really, really good. I think Mitch and I have listened to 2 episodes now.
Have you?
And I can't wait to listen to more.
Have you ever listened to Up and Vanished?
No, I haven't.
It's by a guy called Payne Lindsay. So every episode is about one disappearance or murder or whatever, and the first one was really insane, and just how amazing he is. Also producing it, like you said, with The Teacher's Pet, like so good. And he had no experience before, and he was like in the process of getting bloody married, and he was like making groundbreaking like evidence about this case. It's like done in real time, so it's really cool. So I've just started the second season now, and it's amazing. I'm so hooked. So Up and Vanished, very good.
Okay. And then the other one was SSR Pod this week. They talked about Goosebumps, which I loved because I think Goosebumps is such a gateway, hey, for everyone into crime and thriller when they're younger.
I loved
So that was
it.
a really good episode.
I used to get...
Yeah, you loved Goosebumps?
Yeah, I used to listen... Like, so I went to this thing called Brownies in England. Like, Brownies Girl Squad or something.
Yeah, it's like the junior Girl Scouts.
Yeah, and sometimes, like, in England, obviously, you know, it rained a lot, and if it rained, we would do a few activities inside the hall, and then we would be able to do whatever we wanted until our parents came to pick us up. And what I used to do, I think I was, like, the only girl that actually sat down and did this, was just watch the videos, because at that stage, we still had, like, VHR. And I just I watched Goosebumps videos, and I got home, and I couldn't sleep, and I cried, but I loved it.
Maybe we should do that too, in an episode where we've read like a couple of Goosebumps or Fear Street or something and talk about it.
Yeah, I think what we should do one day when your wonderful son is old enough is introduce him to Goosebumps and see what he thinks.
Yeah. I wonder how old I was when I started reading them. I'll have to ask my mum.
Does he read yet? He's what, 4?
He's 3.5.
3.5.
So he likes books. The other day I found him on his little couch, like reading his little Incredibles book, but he obviously can't like read, so he makes up the stories based on the pictures. It was so cute.
That's amazing.
I tried to get a picture for our books of booze page, but he wouldn't let me take a photo.
Oh, he sounds like such an angel.
Yes, he is most of the time, but he's very cheeky as well.
Okay.
He's very funny. Oh my goodness, he makes me laugh so much.
Sounds like Mitch.
They both do. Yeah, very cheeky.
Yeah,
I've got three cheeky boys.
It reminds me of like my sister-in-law. She's got my brother and they're 2 boys.
They're 2 boys. Yeah, I think you'd mentioned that when we first talked.
Yeah, like I love them to bits, but sometimes I do feel a bit sorry for my sister-in-law, because, you know, she's just got all these boys. I'm like, God, how would that work? Like, I need some girliness in my life.
Yeah.
At least you've got a sister. That's nice.
Yeah, that's true.
She's got 4
And
sisters.
I've got a niece and a sister-in-law. I got 2 sister-in-laws and a niece and my sister. So
yeah,
if I ever need to break free.
Yeah, well, at least that's good then. What else have you been enjoying lately?
So, for TV-wise, I started 2 new shows. So, one of them was Death Note, which is an anime show recommended to me by one of my really good friends. Mm-hmm. And that's on Anime Lab, which is kind of like a Netflix for all anime. And I've never really watched a lot of anime other than, like, Sailor Moon and stuff like that. But it came really highly recommended, and I really enjoyed it. I've watched the first 2 episodes, and I'm pretty hooked.
Okay.
So the premise of this one is, in Tokyo, a high school student named Light Yagami finds a death note, a mysterious notebook which can kill anyone as long as the user knows both the target's name and face. Ryuk is invisible to anyone who has not touched the death note.
Sorry about that. We seem to have had a technical error.
So I think I was just saying that I thought it was a really good show and I'm already really hooked on it and I can't wait to watch more.
Okay.
So the other show I started was Killing Eve. Have you heard of that one?
No, what is it?
Someone actually recommended it to us because whenever I put up the post about Boozy Banter, I ask people what they're watching, what they recommend.
They always communicate with you more.
I'm very chatty.
Whenever I ask questions, no one even responds. I'm like, what am I doing wrong?
They responded to blah, blah, blah. I responded to you today about the Carolyn Overington book.
Yeah.
And people did tell you their Starbucks drinks of choice yesterday.
I think one person did.
Maybe a lot of people
that
don't drink
person
Starbucks in Australia.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Although I think we have more American listeners than Australian.
I think so too. So what's this Killing Eve? What's that about?
So Eve is a bored, whip-smart security services operative whose desk job doesn't fulfill her fantasies of being a spy. Villanelle is a talented killer who clings to the luxuries her violent job affords her. These 2 fierce women, equally obsessed with one another, will go head-to-head in an epic game of cat and mouse. And that was really good. I watched the first episode of that one. It's got Sandra Oh in it. She was on Grey's Anatomy. I'm a Grey's Anatomy
I like her.
addict. Yeah, I love
She's
Grey's
so
Anatomy.
funny.
She's very good. She's very good in this. I think she was nominated for an award
Oh.
in the upcoming awards season. So this one for Australians, it was on, I think, the SBS app or the ABC app.
Okay.
And the whole first season is up. I don't know where anyone else can find it, but maybe if anyone does know, let us know on the post.
Mm-hmm.
And I have been reading The Ones You Trust by Carolyn Overington because we are interviewing her next week, and The Child by Fiona Barton. And I'm enjoying both of them. It's
funny how they've both got children in it.
Yeah, I know. I don't have a break from the heavy topic of children, which is always my trigger. Like, oh God, sometimes I read it and I'm like, separate yourself. It's not about you. But it's so hard.
Did you read The Perfect Mother by Amy Molly?
I haven't.
Oh, really? So
yeah,
I
think I've got it on my Kindle, but I haven't read it yet.
I'm only, what am I, like maybe 40 pages into Caroline Overington's The Ones You Trust.
Mm-hmm.
But if you enjoy it, I really think that you should try The Perfect Mother, because they're very similar. It's also like this mother who's, I think she's quite well known, and her child goes missing, and it's all about this like club that she's a part of and how they try and solve a murder or disappearance for her. And I actually really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
So it reminds me a fair bit of that so far. I must say that like Caroline Overington's book is very easy to read.
Yeah,
it's very
definitely is.
Simple, not overly descriptive.
Mm-hmm. It's a classic page turner beach kind of read.
Definitely a beachy read. Yeah,
airport thriller.
That's
that sort
it.
of thing. There was the other one I ordered. The other one that I didn't want to read because I am a mum and it scares me, but Claire McIntosh's I Let You Go.
Yep.
I've ordered it.
Really?
It's coming out.
I can't wait to see what you think. Let me just get my book quickly. I've got it right behind me. I Let You Go. I just need to remember. Let's for a second. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so yes, it's gonna cut your heart out, but then you'll see it's so good.
Maybe.
It's by far the best Claire McIntosh book I've read.
Yeah. Maybe I will read a few, like one or two easier books in the middle that are not all so child heavy.
Yeah.
Give my little heart a break.
I think so. We need to find you something with just adults.
Because even I think Pieces of Her is like a mother and a daughter.
Well, at least then they're a little bit older, I think.
Yeah. And I don't think I've heard that the characters aren't very sympathetic, so maybe that'll be okay for me. But maybe I need to read Tom Hanks's book in the middle.
Yeah, just something completely different. If you ever feel like reading a book about evil children, though, I must say I didn't quite enjoy it as much as I wanted to. But Baby Teeth by Zoe Stage.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a Penguin book, but it's not fantastic, but there's a huge creepy element to it, and I think that it's got more of a horror vibe to it. So if you ever wanted like a child
Creepy
that's
children.
not actually scared and getting tormented or who's kidnapped or whatever,
They're the
just a
tormentor,
child that's
maybe.
like more of a demon.
The Children
Maybe
of the
that's a
Corn.
good
Malachi.
Oh, that was a scary sound.
Children of the Corn. Have you watched that?
No.
Oh, they're creepy children.
Okay, what else are you reading, watching, listening to?
That is about it.
Okay. Yep. Ooh. Can you hear my sirens?
Yeah.
Sorry about that. So the only real thing I've got to say is, so Mark and I finished a bunch of stuff on Netflix. What did we finish? We finished The Sinner. We finished Scream. We finished a whole bunch of stuff. So Now last night, I think, or no, not last night, because last night we were fighting. The night before last, we started Shooter, which is a Netflix show with, I think it stars Ryan Philippe. I think he used to be with Reese Witherspoon, no?
He was in, I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Okay.
Right, and Cruel Intentions and stuff like that. He's gorgeous.
Yeah.
He's like my childhood love.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's not my cup of tea, but the show so far has really surprised me because I thought that it would be super boyish. I wasn't going to enjoy it. Mark chose it, and he loves more of the guns and car chases and shit, and I'm just like, ugh, I don't want that in my life. So I started watching it, and it's about this ex-Marine sniper who is asked to help stop this planned assassination on the president, but then he becomes framed for the murder. And so far, I must say, just I think 1 or 2 episodes in, I am really impressed. I really like it.
Very cool. We've watched the first season, I think.
Okay. So you know the part where he saves the wolf in the first episode?
Mm-hmm.
So I was very unsure about this whole thing. I was like, oh, I don't know. It's got guns, it's got car chases. Yeah. I don't like it. And then he went into the woods and he found this poor wolf that had his paw caught in a bear trap. And he darted it so that he could put it to sleep so he could free it. Yeah. And then the 2 other hunters came along, and it was really sad, really. Just how the poor wolf just needed some help, and he then darted the guys. So hopefully the bloody wolf ate them when he got up. But Mark looked over at me and was like, "Do you like the show now?" And I was like, "Yeah, I like it. He's a good guy."
Bob Lee swagger.
Yeah, Bob Lee is such a weird name.
It doesn't flow off the tongue, does it?
No, Bob Lee.
You would think Bobby Lee.
Yeah, or Bobby. Yeah, Bob.
So that's all you've watched? Shooter? Bob.
Yeah, otherwise I'm just still going with my my bloody MasterChef show.
Those shows do take up a lot of your time.
Well, I mean, this last season of MasterChef Australia is over 60 episodes or something.
Yeah, and they're long.
Yeah, it's a lot. So, I mean, after I finish this, I'm probably going to go and relax and watch another episode. I'm trying to get through them really slowly. Although I did finish The Bachelor a night or 2 ago, and that was lovely. I must say, Becca wasn't my favourite for a bachelorette, and I wonder who they're going to choose for a new bachelor, but I am, I love my thrillers, but I do have a girly side. The Bachelor is my girly side.
Very nice.
Yeah, so I think that's about it from us.
So.
Let us know if you've got any questions for us. We love answering your questions, and there weren't that many this time. Or did you have some that you wanted to say?
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah.
I almost forgot. They are from Rachel Ratatouille.
She won Scrubland.
She did win Scrubland. So if you listen, occasionally we will put away giveaways into our podcast for only the podcast listeners.
Yeah.
And so she said the magic words and we picked a name and she was the winner. So she had 2 questions. So the first one was, when do you listen to audiobooks? I'd listened to part of one once when I had a 4-hour solo drive ahead of me and couldn't put the help down. How do you give it your full attention? You listen to more audiobooks than me, so you take the lead with this one.
Yeah, I listen to audiobooks all the time. Normally, more so I've realised when I have a job, which the last couple of weeks I have not, besides this podcast, which is great. It just doesn't pay the bills quite yet, but we do have Patreon, so if you want to help us, that's great. We would ask for the tiniest donation to help us afford our lives, but I listen more so to audiobooks when I'm commuting to work, or if Mark's not here, and say he's out on his Harley or he's doing something else with friends and I'm cleaning the house or something, then I'll listen to audiobooks. And if I'm cooking and even if I'm on like the treadmill or the bike at the gym or something, audiobooks really help me get up there with my reading goals. I think I'm like 13 books ahead of schedule with my Goodreads goal for this year, so that's good.
I only really listen to them at night when I don't want to read, but I want to listen to something, and they kind of help me. I put on a sleep timer and then I'll usually drift off.
Yeah.
But then sometimes I'm listening to one that I don't want to miss anything, and so it's a bit hard. But yeah, I don't listen to a lot. I listen to a lot more podcasts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's my problem. So I only recently became a podcast listener fully.
Yeah.
So I feel like before podcasts became a thing in my life,
Yeah.
I listened to way more audiobooks, and now all these podcasts like My Favorite Murder, Wine and Crime, all the other ones like No Thanks We're Booked, and SSR Pod and all these things, like they're just like taking over that time where I would normally be doing something and listening to an audiobook. But it's also important, as now that we are podcasters, to listen to other podcasts.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah. I've listened to podcasts for a long time. So back when Harry Potter was still being published, there used to be a website, I'm sure there still is a website, it was called MuggleNet. And they had a podcast where they would talk about all sort of Harry Potter stuff, and then they do rereads and talk about the books and the chapters and stuff like that. And I listened to that. And that was probably like 10 years ago.
Okay.
So I've been listening to podcasts for a long time.
Wow. See, I only became aware of podcasts. Like, I'd heard of them, but I never looked into it until I went away with Mark. We met for a while in South Africa, and then he left and went traveling and stuff, and then we went traveling again together in Canada, and we weren't yet together, we were just basically strangers, and he introduced me to the Case File podcast, and I became absolutely obsessed with true crime first and foremost, and then podcasts. So eventually I just used to go to him and be like, hey, is there any new Case File episodes that like we need to listen to more? I love it. And now I'm like completely obsessed. It's like him and Audible. We get up in the morning, and like I've been trying to get him on Audible for months. And now he's so obsessed. Every morning we get up and we have a coffee in bed, he's just like scrolling through Audible trying to find his next audiobook. And I'm just like, Jesus, spend some time with me, bro. He's and then he's like, he says to me, turns to me, and he's like, oh yeah, this Audible thing is amazing. Why did you never tell me about it? I'm like, I did.
Typical male.
God,
okay.
So annoying.
And then her second question was, do you flip to the back of a book and read the end? I know a few people who do this, and I think it's against the rules, especially in thrillers.
Never.
Nope. My mum does.
You can't do that. Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I think her rationale is, what if I die? And then I don't know the ending of the book, but then you're dead, and it probably doesn't matter. But I know a lot of people do that, but I don't want to be spoiled. Like, occasionally, like, I don't know if you do this, but when I'm reading a book, I like to put the hashtag in Instagram and scroll through everyone's, like, pictures of the covers. I love doing that. And then on one of them, I saw a spoiler, like, and I was like, no, and that's almost the same thing. But no, I will never flip to the end of a book. I think it's a big no-no too.
Yeah, no, it's a big no-no. I much prefer, like, getting that shock. It's why I carry on reading. It's why I have that, like, feeling of I need to pick this book back up.
Yeah.
I don't agree with it whatsoever. I understand people thinking it's scary to, you know, what if you do die and you'll never know what happens? But that's half the fun of it.
Yeah. Maybe the listeners should tell us what they do. Do you read the last few pages or the last page of a book when you've started a book? Let us know.
We've got email addresses now, do we not?
We do. So we have hello@booksboozepod.com. We have Chiara at booksboozepod.com and Jade at booksboozepod.com. And my name, I might spell it, is Chiara.
Perfect. So unless you want to send us a personal message, I think use hello@booksboozepod.com.
Which both of us have access to, and then there's our personal ones, but
yeah, so we'd love to hear from you what you do. We always shout you out, and if you've got any questions, do that too, because like I said, we always shout you out. Send us videos and like voice notes and stuff, because like I just did with Natalie, you know,
we love
it's
it.
great for us to hear from you.
I love chatting to everyone.
It's lovely to see how passionate people are.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely send us an email and let us know, do you flip to the end of a book at the beginning?
Yeah.
And we will read out those answers next episode.
Yes. And I just want to let you know that if you want to find us, you can find us on BooksBoozPod on Twitter and Instagram. And me, Jade, is boho_bookworm on Instagram for my personal one. And Chiara is...
@bookish.kiki.
Perfect. Okay, so let us know if you've got any topics for us that you want to hear in next episodes too. That would be great.
Yeah. Any books you want us to read? I know a lot of people have asked us to read Stephen King. I don't know.
I would be
open.
Okay. I would be open to giving King another go. Just do not make me reread it.
I think if we do that, we would have to pick two of the shorter ones.
I'd be open to
and I think we'd have to read more
Shining.
than one. Yeah, The Shining and
Pet Sematary, Misery.
The Body, Shawshank Redemption, Misery.
Is that Stephen King?
Yeah.
Is it?
Mm-hmm. And The Green Mile, I'm pretty sure, is Stephen King.
Know. Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I think that about rounds up this episode.
Yes. Thank you for listening. As always, thank you for your support.
I need to go and make some like bachelor pasta with no meat in it in the kitchen now because I'm hungry.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
All right. Bye.
Bye.